Some stories are etched in public memory, but some stories lie in shadow, waiting to be revealed. Esther Rolle was known and loved for her portrayal of Florida Evans, a television figure of strength, dignity, and grace. But behind the icon was a woman who carried her own untold truths, secrets she kept from fans for decades. What did she hide? Why did she bury it? And how did it remain undiscovered by millions? To understand the secret, we must go back to where Esther came from. She was born November 8, 1920, in Pompano Beach, Florida. Her parents, Jonathan and Elizabeth Rolle, were immigrants from the Bahamas. Esther was the 10th of 18 children, a household alive with activity, responsibility, and challenge. Pompano Beach in the 1920s and 30s was part of the segregated South. Black families faced systemic obstacles, limited opportunities, and racial discrimination. Yet in that environment, Esther grew, grounded in faith, discipline, and quiet determination. She learned early that your name, your integrity, and your inner strength could become your shield and your tool. Though her early years were humble, Esther had ambition. She attended Spelman College in Atlanta, a leading historically black women's college, before moving to New York City, where she studied at Hunter College and the New School for Social Research. It was in New York that her path shifted toward performance. She joined the Negro Ensemble Company, a groundbreaking theatrical group that gave black actors serious, dignified roles at a time when mainstream theater marginalized them. Through those years, she refined her voice, her craft, and her belief that art must respect the dignity of the human soul. In 1972, Esther Rolle landed the role of Florida Evans in the sitcom Maude. Her portrayal resonated immediately. She wasn't just a supporting character. Her emotional depth and strength revealed something audiences had seldom seen. Just 2 years later, in 1974, her character became the lead in a spin-off, Good Times. Suddenly, America had a black family at its center. The show depicted life in the Chicago projects, poverty, racial tension, personal struggle, but with love, humor, and perseverance. Florida Evans became an icon, a mother, a wife, a moral anchor. Many fans felt she represented something deeper than television, a symbol of black resilience. But as Good Times rose in popularity, tensions grew behind the scenes. Producers wanted ratings. They leaned into the comedic, over-the-top antics of J.J. Evans, played by Jimmy Walker, whose catchphrase, "Die No Might," became a cultural touchstone. Esther Rolle spoke out. She believed J.J.'s buffoonery demeaned the dignity of black families. She demanded greater depth, realistic conflict, and respect for her character. She reportedly told producers, "I don't want a clown show." In 1977, citing creative differences, both Esther Rolle and her co-star John Amos left the show. Her departure was a risk, walking away from a hit series to protect her principles. She would eventually return, but only after negotiating terms that preserved some of her vision for the show and for her character. Through all the tension, fame, and public adoration, Esther held a chapter of her life in silence. In 1955, long before Good Times, she quietly married Oscar Robinson. Their marriage lasted about 2 decades. Yet by 1975, the union ended in divorce. This might seem ordinary, but here's the secret. Very few fans ever knew about this marriage. Esther never mentioned Oscar Robinson in interviews. She never walked a red carpet arm in arm. It was as though the marriage did not exist in public memory. Why the secrecy? Those close to her believe she did it to protect her image, to preserve the perception of strength, dignity, and independence. She didn't want her public persona blurred by personal messiness. She preferred that audiences see the character she embodied, Florida Evans, not the pain that real life brought. But there was another secret she carried, one of compassion. Behind closed doors, Esther Rolle was deeply philanthropic. She quietly supported educational scholarships, mentored young Black actors, and gave money to theater programs and cultural institutions. She did this not for press or praise, but out of conviction. She believed opportunity should be extended to those shut out, especially Black artists struggling in a system stacked against them. Many of these gifts and acts went unknown to the public during her lifetime. This hidden generosity, combined with her personal silence, deepened the mystery of who she was, beyond the camera, beyond the scripts, beyond the public face. How did Esther manage to keep such personal truths hidden from millions? First, she built firm boundaries around her private life. She gave few interviews about her personal struggles. When pressed, she redirected the conversation to her work. She avoided tabloid exposure. Second, the media environment of her era was less invasive than today, but even then, Hollywood was eager to pry. Yet Esther refused to give them fodder. She chose silence over sensationalism. Third, her reputation as a dignified, principled woman made many believe she had no skeletons. Fans projected onto Florida Evans what they wanted to see, and Esther rarely contradicted that image publicly. In her later years, Esther continued to act. One of her final significant roles was in the film Rosewood, 1997, for which she received critical praise. The role echoed her iconic persona, a strong elder, bearing memory, strength, and grace. However, her health declined. On November 17, 1998, just 9 days after her 78th birthday, Esther Rolle passed away in Culver City, California. She left behind a towering legacy, not just a memorable performance, but a life shaped by principles, hidden truths, and quiet influence. So, what difference does knowing her secret make? We realize that behind Florida, Evans was a woman who chose dignity over gossip, strength over exposure. Her silence was part of her legacy. Her secret marriage and her hidden generosity don't diminish her, they deepen her. They show us a woman who placed the power of her public voice above the messy realities of personal life and chose to help others from the shadows. Her legacy now includes not only her roles, but the respect she held for her own story, even the chapters she would never reveal. So, what was the secret Esther Rolle kept hidden from fans for decades? It was her private marriage, her heartbreaks, her hidden generosity, all parts of herself she shielded from public view. For decades, fans saw a legend, but now we see the woman behind the legend. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this unveiling into Hollywood's hidden stories, please hit like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to receive more deep dives into the lives behind the legends. Until next time, we'll keep exploring the truth behind the fame.